with those really low mounts, especially on the Black Knights, just
Yeah.
leads me to believe they are planning on having a face-to-face encounter of some sort. 6 small pulse lasers on the Jenner 2CA, so they didn't opt for the longer range ER mediums. 2 Gauss, 2 PPC on the Kodiak 3. One of them bringing the dual machine guns to hike it up to that higher level, but both of them bringing dual Gauss, dual PPC. Black Knight, ER large lasers. And on the Grasshopper.
I have to eat my words, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, Black Knight is a very difficult mech to be able to effectively poke over things to get those long-range encounters. That could work against them, but at the same token, the quirks are so good on that mech that, you know, their output could be fantastic. So if nobody punishes this Black Knight for peeking, he could do quite a bit of work, but that's going to be on the Filthy Dozen to lay that fire out. And they could easily just decide to take a power position where they don't care if they're getting shot at as long as they kill everything that peeks. And then the Black Knight shines. If the Black Knight doesn't have to... Oh, man, some early hits on the Oxide for Filthy Dozen. Just coming up to Theta and just getting wailed on by the Gauss PPCs.
Oh, and another shot. Terminator 20 with a great shot in that Kodiak dual Gauss
This
dual
Oxide
PPC.
is open center torso already. He's yellow center torso, but he is open. And the Angry Bears Jenner 2C is on Theta getting the cap, and if they don't get some scratch damage on him, he's going to actually get away with it, which he does. He had an Oxide right there, but they just gave up Theta, and really it's going to be on the Filthy Dozen to bring this into a brawl. But
And
they
it looks
have
like
to
they're
go,
moving forward here.
Look at the spread for Angry Bears. They are all over the place. They have map control, and they have set themselves up in a way where they know that Filthy Dozen is going to have to come at them.
And a perfect UAV placement there as well.
Filthy Dozen has to make the move, but they're going to be going into the teeth of an ambush, and that's...
Yeah, but they cannot hold up here. At this point, they still have angles. Angry Bears are still putting damage down on the Filthy Dozen right now. They can't get bogged down in a brawl deck.
Yeah, the longer that these guys wait here, just trying to decide which direction they want to attack, they're just taking massive amounts of damage from all angles. They are not trading, and they're just getting shredded down, so that's not looking too good. The call has to be made. They're getting lined up, and it looks like they want to go, but I don't think they can agree on which direction they want to go. You have so many options. Looks like they're waiting for their lights to get up into the backfield, but these Oxides do not have jump jets. They can't get up to the level of the left flank here. They're just
and here they are
trading
going
up. The Oxides have turned those mechs around. They're dealing with the Oxides, and that's why the call was made. That was a good call on their part to get those Oxides to start creating a distraction. So now these 3 mechs on the left side aren't really able to help that much, but they are realizing the charge is coming, and here we go. The Oxide does get taken down, and those mechs on the left side are starting to join, and they are pincerring Filthy Dozen, who still has not reached brawl range of a majority of the mechs. They jumped on one Kodiak, but that most likely is going to be all that they
And they get this Kodiak down. They get 2 quick kills here.
So they actually picked up 2, but they still have a lot of work to do. They're getting completely decimated.
Yeah,
Griffin
those Jenner
3Ms
2Cs are
got the
ripping them up
flamers.
from behind.
The Black Knight for Angry Bears is actually tucked up with those ER large lasers up against the canyon wall, just trying to avoid a fight and allow this to develop a little bit. But this is actually a lot closer than I anticipated it would be.
Yeah, this is
the
pretty
Grasshopper
so
is
far.
just wailing on people over here, and he's actually getting some kills. Everybody's running at heat camp, but Filthy Dozen has now completely split
And
up.
that Grasshopper has 2 cool shots. If he uses those, he could really turn this battle.
We've got a 2v2 fight down here, but in the distance there, we've got a 2v1 with that Grasshopper, and the Grasshopper's not faring too well. He does
And
get
down
taken
he
down,
goes.
but on this side, the Jenner Oxide and the Kodiak 3 working against the Oxide. Oxide is now retreating to join the rest of his team, and it's going to leave the Kodiak 3 down in the canyon. Polycat in the Oxide is giving chase, but if he's not careful, he's going to get jumped on by the Grasshopper and the Kodiak 3. This is not over yet at all, by any means. This Oxide needs to work with his teammate, and they need to find a way to attack, but the entire time
And
they
this
roam
Kodiak
around...
3 is pretty darn fresh right now. He's going to start peeking around the corner here, see if he can't get a shot.
The caps are heavily in favor of Angry Bears, so it is going to be on these guys to not only clean up the fight, but also decap Epsilon, Theta, and Sigma before the time runs out. So they are waiting for the Kodiak 3 to get things set up, but let's see if he can put some expert shots downfield, which could make a huge difference. He is taking ER large fire and Gauss PPC from the other Kodiak. And
Does lose his torso. That really hurts.
Oh, I think the Oxide just got legged. This is going to be over for Filthy Dozen. Well-placed shot on the Oxide, legged him. He is not having that oxide available, it is over at the very least on Caps. All they have to do is get their oxide out and about, even if they were able to kill these two mechs, and the Caps would go heavily in favor for the finish for Angry Bears. So I'm going to call this right now. Angry Bears wins it.
And Terminator 20,
8-5.
team captain with Angry Bears, gets the final 2 kills there.
That got a lot closer than I thought it would be at the end there.
Yeah.
Mad props to Filthy Dozen. Once they got into the fight, they started killing some mechs very well. I mean, going with a more rangy deck means that your overall output is less. Your overall DPS is lower, but their positioning was fantastic on the Angry Bears side. They had a really good spread, and it really forced Filthy Dozen to have to take a tour to find the mechs they wanted to kill. But they stabbed right down the middle, and they jumped on a Kodiak, and I didn't get a chance to see who the second mech was they killed right off the bat there. It might have been the fight with the oxides over on the side or something, but going up 2 very quickly is kind of what you need to see. But it started to fizzle out, though, because they were getting hit from both sides. There was a split fight. There was a fight down in the canyon. There was a 1v2 fight off on the side. And those numbers just don't stack up into success, unfortunately. You need to have the rest of your teammates available in order to survive that encounter. But they did not just go down without a fight, though. Filthy Dozen really bring in the pain right at the end.
And looking at those damages, that match was actually pretty darn close. Terminator 20, like I said, team captain for Angry Bears, did 800 damage, 4 kills in that Kodiak, basically carrying his team to victory there because the rest of the damages were just about even.
Let's take a look at the map here. We'll show you kind of very direct path that they took, bringing it in. So Filthy Dozen getting right up onto the D3 region, heading straight up to Theta. But then we had a very big spread all over the place.
You almost wonder if that delay at Theta cost them a little bit. They didn't have too much incoming fire, but those guys from Alpha moving into the Bravo 3, Charlie 3 region were able to kind of sit there and get some poke damage in, and then Terminator 20 actually moved all the way down alongside from Charlie 4 into Delta 4 and kind of had some angles as well for the majority of that fight. He was sitting back here while the brawl was occurring in Charlie 4 and just being able to shoot in with dual PPC, dual Gauss on that Kodiak and doing a ton of damage.
So you can see this spread here really giving you the map control, and Filthy Dozen had no choice. Now, we were complaining that they were kind of sitting there just taking a lot of damage, and they were, and that's a problem. But what they were doing is they were allowing their oxides to basically jump down into here and just try and turn this group right here around. And they did for a short time. They did lose an oxide, though. I mean, I see what they were trying to do. The oxides don't have jump jets. They weren't able to bring the fight to those mechs, so they were just sitting down below, accepting the laser vomit from up on high, and tossing SRMs up there. And they did turn them around for the initial part. So they got about, I would say, here